This project is sponsored by PCBWay. From concept to production, PCBWay provides cutting-edge electronic design solutions for global innovators including hardware design, software development, mechanical design, product testing, and certification. PCBWay engineering team consists of experienced engineers in electronics, embedded systems, and product development. They successfully delivered hundreds of projects across industries such as medical devices, industrial automation, consumer electronics, smart home, and IoT. Hello, vacuum tube amplifiers are often favored for their smooth harmonic distortion, especially in the lower order harmonics, which many listeners describe as warm or rich. Tube amplifiers are also known for their compression and dynamic response. For these reasons, there is no audiophile who would not like to own this type of amplifier. However, commercial tube amplifiers are very expensive. Another option is, if you have certain knowledge in this area, to make it yourself. Unfortunately, even in this case, we usually need more exotic components to make this kind of amplifier, among which I will mention the mains transformer as well as the output audio transformers. This time I'll try to describe to you the simplest way how to make a tube amplifier yourself, where the basic conditions, the echt good sound, will be the simplicity of the device, as well as the use of components that can be obtained in almost any well-stocked electronic store or on the internet. In addition, the cost of such an amplifier would be really low, and also during its construction you will learn a lot about electronic devices which use vacuum tubes. The amplifier that I present to you is a modified version of FU32 tube amplifier kit, which was available a few years ago, but unfortunately is not longer for sale. First, let me describe the components used individually. The most specific component of these amplifiers is the mains transformer together with the rectifier. This time I use this cheap DC-DC converter that uses 12 volt input voltage, and the output voltage can be adjusted with this small trimmer potentiometer from 40 to 700 volts. For the needs of this amplifier, the output voltage is set to 235 volts. I will use the input voltage also for heating the tubes. For this purpose, the three series groups of tubes are connected in parallel to 12 volts as shown in this picture. GU32 heaters, 6J1 heaters and EM84 heaters together parallel on 12 volt DC. In this way, the whole power supply part is solved very elegantly and simply. Instead of FU32, I use GU32 tube, which is 100% compatible. Input tubes are 6J1, one for each channel. For a better visual impression, I also installed a retro meter with EM84 tubes, and I describe its making in one of my previous videos. Now let's take a look at what's inside the box. In this small box is the power supply module that provides voltage for all parts of the device. Here is how the connection of the components looks like. In order to interconnect the components, I use segments of cell adhesive copper tape, which really made it much easier for me to make the device. All connections are made with thin wire, keeping in mind that very small currents flow through them. Only the heating lines and speaker connections are made with a thicker wire. These are PCBs for volume unit meters, the making of which is previously described in the given video. It can be said that the most important part of these amplifiers is the output audio transformer. These transformers are made with special way of winding, and the quality of the resulting sound, especially at low frequencies, largely depends of them. For simpler raw initial testing and modifications to the amplifier, I made these temporary modules. Until I get original audio transformers, I will make the amplifier with ordinary mains transformers. So in the temporary project, I will implement the pair with the best characteristics. After several hearing tests, I conclude that these transformers has the best characteristics for this purpose. Their characteristics are primary windings for 220 volts with ohmic resistance of about 400 ohms, and secondary windings for 18 volts, 0.5 amperes. The primary windings are connected to the anodes of the tube, and the speakers are connected to the secondaries of these transformers. Of course, I will replace these transformers with an original audio transformers when I receive them. In the meantime, I found an audio transformer from an old tube radio, and I made a short comparison. Now let's focus on the operation of this simple stereo audio amplifier. I will be using these small NED speaker boxes, which are flow utilization, decibels per watts per meter, and are not intended for this type of amplifier. Otherwise, it would be better to use wide range sensitive speaker with a larger cross section membrane, specially designed for use with low wattage tube amplifiers. After turning on the amplifier, it takes some time for the cathode of the tubes to heat up. I will use my PC as the audio signal source, and for copyright reasons I will use songs from the free YouTube audio library. Unfortunately, the sound you will hear on the video will not correspond to the sound I hear live, so you will either have to make the amplifier yourself or trust my subjective claims.
we began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals they take us higher.
As for the output power, although it is declared on the source schematic as 3.5 watts per channel, according to my rogue measurements, it does not exceed 2 to 2.5 watts with acceptable distortions for this type of amplifier of less than 3%. At more than 3 watts output power, the distortions were greater than 10%. However, even this relatively low output power is sufficient for normal listening in small rooms, especially if we use sensitive speakers. And finally, a short conclusion. The idea of this project is to present to you perhaps the simplest way to make a relative powerful stereo vacuum tube audio amplifier with components that are easily available for purchase, and also the cost of the whole assembly is significantly low. However, the quality of the resulting sound is excellent, at least in my personal subjective opinion, and to make sure of that, you will have to make it yourself and hear it. Just to mention that the total cost of this amplifier does not exceed $25 without output audio transformers. And at the end, thanks for watching this video.